friends, it's your art teacher, and in this week's lesson called Seeing Cities, we've been talking about how artists look and are fascinated by cities and create cityscapes. And we're going to be creating a collage today. Remember, a collage is an artwork that uses paper, scissors, and glue to create an image. So there's some things I want you to think about before we get started. Are you ready? Here we go. So, is your cityscape going to be from a city that you know? Will you be looking at the buildings from the windows of a tall building, or from outside of the city, like you're driving towards the city? Or maybe you're in a park and you're looking at the city from across the park. What kinds of buildings would you like to use in your cityscape? Think about buildings that you would find in cities like towers, skyscrapers, office buildings. Apartments and houses are in cities, warehouses, parking garages, even vacant lots where they haven't built anything yet. These are all things you will find in a city. So think about that. What shapes will you use to create your buildings? And what buildings will you show in the foreground or the front, and which in the background? And which would you show in the middle? Remember, we call that the middle ground. So today, to get started, you're going to need a piece of dark construction paper. You could use black, blue, or purple. I'm going to use black today. You're going to need some tissue paper, a background paper to glue your shapes onto, glue, scissors, and I'm going to draw with a white crayon on my black paper so you can see it. You could either use a white crayon or you could use a pencil or a marker to do your designs. So I'm going to show you how to begin planning your cityscape, and we'll get started right now. Let's go. So friends, I wanted to share with you this great book that I have in the classroom. It's called Chicago from Land, Sea, and Air. And you can look through here for some great ideas of different types of towers and building shapes for what you might want to include in your collage. So peruse through this, and I will have some other images up on the screen of cities that you can look at while we're working today to get some inspiration. And I'm going to start with the background. So using my black paper, I'm going to think about the shapes of the buildings and how they'll look from far away. So I think I'm going to start drawing, and we're going to make these all one line. We want to leave some negative spaces here. If you make a mistake, it's not a big deal because we can just flip this over. All right, so I've made my first row of buildings. Now I'm going to cut it out. I'll fast forward for that. All right, friends, so I've cut out my first row of buildings. I'm going to flip it over so the lines are showing on the back. This is for craftsmanship. And we're going to do dot, dot, not a lot glue, and go around the edges. Okay, and I added a couple in the middle. Then we'll flip our paper over, line it up so it is not going over the top of the paper. Smooth it down and help me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, well, let's check and make sure it's attached. Oh, I don't think it's attached down here at all, so we're going to fix that by putting some glue down here. Let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. Now we're going to get out some white tissue paper and we're going to lay that over the top. This is going to make things look a little further away. Remember in our last lesson how we talked lighter colors are in the background? So this is going to help lighten up our values. I'm going to show you how to attach that. I'm going to glue it and then flip it over and count. Guys, you're gonna want to be careful. I've pulled a little bit of the tissue paper here. If that happens to you, just take a little bit of your extra and we'll make a band-aid. I wouldn't worry about this one up here, but this one up here, I want to make sure it's covered up. Okay, good. Now we're going to get another piece of black paper and do the shapes in the middle ground. Let's get started. Okay friends, I've added my middle ground. Now I'm going to take the other half of my tissue paper and put that on top. And you can see it's making the background even lighter. And then we'll work on our foreground. I'm going to attach the tissue paper now. Here we go. All right friends, now I'm going to add stuff to the foreground. Remember the foreground is in the very front and that'll be the darkest layer. I'm going to get started and you can watch. Here we go. All right, friends, here's my completed Seeing Cities collage. I hope you have just as much fun as I do exploring how artists see cities and creating foreground, middle ground, and background on your image. I can't wait to see what you do, guys. Let's get started.